So Zoe and I worked on the artist project with Syante to plan for her upcoming EP release. So to start a little bit about Syante as an artist, she's currently a 24-year-old LA-based singer-songwriter. She's originally from India and decided to move to LA to pursue her career in music. She draws inspiration from artists like One Republic, which reflects well on her fusing genres like indie pop, rock, and other alternative music. So when discovering more about her audience, we noticed that it was more LA based, and she was also spotlighted in the Creation Project. So she has an Asian background, and I think it's important that she can expand on that Asian audience demographic. But more importantly, our target audience is the 18 to 24-year-olds. We noticed that around 44% of the 24 to 34-year-olds were more of her audience. So we want to expand upon that younger group, especially since she also attends USC. And some trends that we found over the past 3 months using Chartmetric on Spotify, we noticed that she went up 16 followers over this past year, but she also had a decline in her monthly listeners. So a problem we were trying to identify that we kept coming back to was who is Sayanti? I think the most important part of any artist and establishing their music and identity is knowing their story and who they are. And even on their Instagram, there was not much of an established aesthetic. So organizing those real stories and posts is a part of our marketing plan. So four parts of our marketing plan include creating a cohesive brand image that's clean, clear for her audience to understand and be more attracted to, especially in terms of the content, it would be more prioritizing TikTok and Instagram Reels to connect more with that younger demographic. Three would be the website. She doesn't have a website, so in the next slide, we'll show you that we created a website that displays her investing more in her merch and displaying her shows and developing a mailing list. And then fourth is her EP release that we also will discuss later on. So we created this website using Bandzoogle, just to briefly see in a phone version, just more about like her bio, her latest track, latest news, and just displaying the tickets that you can purchase.
Okay, so we came up with a comparable artist to Sayante, who's a little bit more followers and listeners. She also grew up in India, resides in LA, and has a similar age demographic. So looking at Sanjana's last EP release, you can see for her social growth that singles 2 and 3 had the highest growth overall. And so we looked at her Instagram aesthetic. And during that time, that's when she started to streamline it using a similar color palette. So that's something that Sayante could draw inspiration from, especially since her most recent single has similar colors. So additionally, we created a waterfall release plan. Many of Sayante's songs are about her journey of moving to LA. Her most recent single, Downhill, is about her turbulent relationship with her landlord. So for this release, we wanted to center the narrative around her move to LA, allowing fans to connect with her story on a more personal level. So we had a month by month release plan. Month one would be single one. We introduced her personal story. So content like why move to LA on TikTok, a day in the life reel, as her new experience as an LA artist. Month two in March, we want to make her story more relatable by highlighting universal LA struggles. For example, she could go around the USC campus creating a TikTok about students' worst landlord stories. Month three, we want to tap into viral trends to maximize reach and engagement. So having a big TikTok push with multiple videos a day, content with emotional hooks, like if you've ever felt stuck between two dreams, this song is for you. And lastly, in month four, we would release her EP, focusing on organic content and fan interaction. So having a launch day live stream on Instagram for a listening party, launching merch with discounts for fans who share the EP on social, engaging with fans in comments, and asking fans to give feedback on her music on their stories, with the call to action being reposting her favorite ones on her story. Thank you.
Very impressive keeping the time, guys. Awesome. Okay. So before we get to the judges' questions, first of all, judges, I'm going to have you press the raise hand functionality in order to be put up to the stage to ask your question. If you don't know where that is, it's at the bottom. There is a little react button, and there is the option to raise your hand. So the react button might have like a little heart or says react. while you're doing that and figuring out where it is, I will go ahead and introduce you all. So our judges for the artist projects are Ifeyinwa, who is head of business and legal affairs at Chocolate City Limited, Eric Mackay, who is the founder and CEO of IMBR, Miguel Bustamante, who is the owner and creative director of Luce Lucesca Publishing, Jacqueline O'Connell, who's the owner of Bittersweet Media, um, and um, and the founder of Good Grief Management. Uh, Wonderful. All right, and I see Eric has raised his hand. So Eric, go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Christine. Congrats. That was a great presentation. I thought it was really, uh, just really clean. And I love the fact that you found a crazily similar artist on a journey. Like that's bonkers that you were able to find that in such a short amount of time. The one question I had was you talked about kind of broadening out the target demographic to 18 to 24 because currently it's skewing slightly older. Did you have any data to support why you wanted to kind of broaden it out into that direction? And I just kind of wondered kind of what the thought process was around that.
Yeah, start with that. So I looked through a lot of her Instagram comments, and a lot of them were other songwriters or people that she worked with. And so my assumption was that it was probably skewing older and probably more male because of the people that she was working with in the industry on her music. And so because she's at USC, she has such a large ability to reach college level fans. I felt like personally that was something that she should focus on. Allison, I don't know if you want to add.
Yeah, I like briefly mentioned like the 44% because I thought it was interesting when we were looking at like her Instagram APIs. And I have it here, like the 18 to 24 was 20.6%, and then the 35 to 44 was 19.7, but it was 44.5% for the 25 to 34. And just personally, I feel like when you first look at her Instagram and when we were like talking with mentors, she seems like a little bit like more mature like for her age in turn, and also just like displaying that aesthetic to attract that younger audience. So with using knowing that and also just through observing like visually, we use that to kind of make that our target audience more, especially since she's in LA and she's also attending university.
Amazing, thank you. And Miguel, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah. Hello. Hi. So I wanted to know with the EP release, is there anything that's being offered different, right? Is there like a new artwork that's being presented or an extra track outside of the three tracks that already have been released? I guess what is new that's being presented with the EP release?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the artwork was a very important part that I think Syante wasn't prioritizing enough, and I think that's really important part in terms of displaying that EP release. Because I'm not sure if she's going to change. I know her first one comes out March 7th, and then her next release would be the following month, and so on. I think there's like supposed to be 5 tracks on her EP. But in terms of design, what was the question? Like, sorry.
No, I think you answered it just now because you just said there's going to be 5 tracks on the EP. I was just wondering if if it's the same exact stuff that's already been released, but it looks like there's going to be extra stuff. That's all.
No,
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, her prior one that came out in like November 20th, that was more of the image that we showed, which kind of displayed more of like the image was more like purple, which was why we were leaning more towards that because it's kind of reflective of her genres of like indie pop and rock. So yeah, that was like an example, but that was an earlier. I'm not sure if she's gonna add that to her EP, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I just wanted to hop on quickly for to answer your question. Yes, there will be 2 more tracks in addition to the 3 that we'll be releasing as a part of the EP, and we'll also be releasing more images and more album covers, like artistic stuff to go with that.
Awesome, thank you guys. We are out of time for questions for this team. Jacqueline, I'm gonna get you to you first for the next one. Appreciate it. All right, awesome. Great job being our first team. I know it's daunting. We appreciate it. We're gonna move on to our next team is team number 2. So give me a moment so I can transition us over.